Design Salvation, episode 69.
This is Design Salvation, your lifeline to better design with Dixie and Annie. Our mission is to share our conversation with you so we can all elevate our work and lifestyle. Welcome to the fold.
This episode is sponsored by the Seattle Design Center. Since 1973, the Seattle Design Center has served the design community, design enthusiasts, builders, and architects alike. With more than 500 manufacturers represented in its 20-plus showrooms, it is a destination for creativity, imagination, and inspiration. This is the Pacific Northwest epicenter for sourcing the highest quality of diverse luxury products for the home. Check them out in Seattle's Georgetown neighborhood, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or go to seattledesignCenter.com. Hey, y'all, it's Dixie Stark.
And Annie Lundquist.
We are Design Salvation.
We're super happy to be with you today, and we're drinking a yummy drink from our cookbook from last 2 weeks ago.
I'm so impressed with you because Danielle, one of the questions we had for her was...
She's the author of Meant to Share.
Yes.
If you didn't hear it, it was episode 67.
67.
Yeah.
Good job for the reference on that. I'm so impressed.
That never happens.
I'm double impressed because she answered one of our questions. And the question was like, if you're entertaining a lot and how do you manage it? And what can I do? And I think Yvette asked her the question, something to that effect. And she said, prep in advance.
Yeah.
And you did that today. You came over here and the drink was already made.
I did. And I'm not a planner and I'm not a prepper. So
I think I'm rubbing off on you and I think Danielle's rubbing off on you.
Well, I'm pleased about that. It was super easy.
Is so tasty.
It's what's it called?
I have no idea what it's called.
Mason jar.
Your own version.
Yeah, a little bit. But I really did everything she did, just maybe different amounts, but it's a mason jar something, but it's Kahlua, Irish cream.
So good. Rich.
Half and half, which I did change because she said heavy cream, and I didn't have that, so half and half. And then a pinch of salt and coffee. And it's spectacular.
Didn't you put some vanilla extract, you said?
And vanilla extract, yeah.
But the pinch of salt is what kind of balances the sweet part of it. And it's far sweeter, but it has the kind of feel of a good iced coffee or just a White Russian.
I think it'd be a great dessert. And we're having it over ice. It's delicious.
Delicious.
Thank you, Danielle.
It's our second round, actually. And we usually don't drink this much, but these are tiny glasses, I will say. These are just little 4-ounce glasses.
With a lot of ice.
With a lot of ice in it. But anyways, super fun. What are we going to talk about today?
So today, because you and you had a big photo shoot. Well, not a big one, but it ends up being big. They all end up being big.
They all end up being big. It wasn't like this huge one or anything, but it still requires a lot.
And Dixie had me help a little bit, which I was thrilled to do because it's such an effort. And we went to the floral market together and got ready, and obviously got too much because you have to do that for photo shoots.
You do, because you never know what you want to use.
You don't know, and you weren't quite sure how many rooms you were going to do, or
It was based on time. This contract with the photographer, and likewise the availability of the house per the clients was limited.
Yeah.
Because of other activities that were going on and whatnot. And of course, we were trying to be all, socially distanced and all that kind of stuff. So they were out of the house and, so we had some limitations.
Yes, you did. Although I must say, because I did get to meet her briefly, she's lovely. What nice clients, too.
Those are the ones that always let you photograph.
I know. It's true, because it is a complete invasion.
It is an invasion
and
of your house.
It's a big time suck, honestly. It's a full day or two, depending on how far in you go.
But you helped me on the twilight shot.
Oh, yeah.
Which was the whole back of, just the back of the house where they do their entertaining out there. It's an extension of, their family room and their kitchen. And they, have their fireplace and they have their cooktop kitchen situation, their, places to eat and
I would
relax.
never have thought to do a twilight shot. Of course.
Well, then, of course, that was the situation because the photographer thought that I didn't know what I was talking about with twilight shot. But I did.
And he came a little late to really...
later than I would have liked, but that's okay. But, the twilight was actually a combination of my client and myself just kind of talking about how was that space going to be the most beautiful. And that's where we landed on twilight. And because of the time of the year here in the Pacific Northwest, I mean, our sunsets are gorgeous.
Yeah.
And what happens with our sunsets is that the light that is cast is just, it's magical. And quite frankly, I texted you. It was magical.
You said that, and I was so delighted because you don't really know. And I had left, and the photographer was a little grumpy as they can be. Yep. I think I can say that, can't I? Or maybe a little opinionated or something.
Hesitant about
so
what we wanted to do.
And I thought, I'm just going to cross my little fingers.
That's right.
And then you texted me and said, it was magical.
Really so we did that on a Thursday night, and then we turned around and we did the interiors the following day, and we spent the entire day doing that. So
and I didn't help with that.
Right.
Unfortunately, I would have loved to because that was a lot of work.
That was a lot of work too. But what I try to do on these shoots is I try to go, if I can, and in this situation it wasn't a possibility, but I try to go like a day in advance or 2 days and stage everything kind of the way I want it, and then ask that either the clients are not there or they leave things intact or whatever it is. But inevitably, your best of plans don't always work out. But it's a planning it's a planning extravaganza. It's almost like having anything like a wedding or any other.
And then the most important thing I think is that you still have to be adaptable and flexible because, for example, you got there early, got everything set for the shoot at the front of the house. And then the light, the photographer shows up and says the light's not right. So then you have to hustle and get the next space ready when you were ready for him.
Right.
But he doesn't feel that way. So, I have, before we go further into this discussion, I have a major confession.
Okay, what's that? I'm ready. We haven't done a confession in how long? Well, I'm ready for confession.
No, I feel like I confess a lot, honey, but here's a biggie.
You're way better about confessing. I need to make more confessions, but I just won't.
No, I don't think that's true. I think I have more work confessions because I'm a little more seat in my pants. So here's my confession.
All right.
And it's kind of amazing. I have never submitted any photos to a publication, not any scouting shots. I never even done. I just went from work to work to work, job to job to job. And I never took the time, which I so admire in you, or the investment opportunity, I guess you could call it, even though it adds up fast when you're doing a photo shoot, to really build that part of my design business and marketing scheme. And I think the thought when the work keeps coming is I don't need to do it. But really what I think I missed, which I think you have really gleaned and knew ahead of time, is that the planning in terms of your branding and marketing is crucial to the type of clients you get.
Correct.
It's not so much that you're working. It's that you have better and better jobs because you've made yourself look credible, competent, published. It's really, I love that about that you did that you planned for it. You made a plan, then you executed it. Where I could sit in bed all day and go, I really should do that, but gosh darn it.
Because it is an effort.
Yeah.
And I think that there are even the young designers as well as the seasoned ones like yourself. And see, this is the other thing, giving you credit back. The way you've continued to get clients is your customer service. Clients are like, you should use Annie. She's great. She does this. She does that. She brings me unique things. She's, always available, blah, blah, blah. And 2, they see what you've done. So you're getting clients because their pals have come over or their neighbor has come over or, whatever it may be. So they're seeing your work and then they're like, you have to come and help me. So there's a testimony there that's like, you know what? I mean, you've done really well without
I would say it
the
this
photography.
way. I think I've done fine without it. But if I were to go back and advise Lulu, for example, on a career trajectory, it would be much more in line. It would be in line with yours, which I think is the correct path. It's the path of a good businesswoman.
It's definitely a business decision. So it's kind of funny because you're trying to build a brand, so to speak. You're trying to speak to an audience that is a potential client. And then the other thing is that it is a part of your marketing, because what happens is when you have good photography, and I always tell anybody that's worked for me that if you have good photography, and I'm not talking the photography that you take on your phone or that, you have your pal do because they think that they'd like to be a photographer someday, but hire a professional that deals in interiors and in architecture. And if you do that, that is your marketing, because you will get published and it will go on your website, and that's your marketing, and that's where your marketing dollars should go.
And I would add, you can take decent pictures on your phone, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
And also you can hire a photographer because you think you're going to save money by not hiring an interiors photographer, and you won't like the results. I have made this mistake for my website. And one thing that's really interesting to me is that even if you submit to, there's a design leadership group, and you have to submit, they have to see pictures of work you've done. If you submit iPhone photos, they're like,
that won't work.
That won't work.
Yeah.
It's like, but this is my work. It doesn't,
like,
and they're not pro.
No,
not
we
pro.
need the professional shots. It's very interesting. It's just like, now you would cut your own hair, but I won't go cut my own hair. And I won't, for instance, do a lot of things that I know that I need a professional for. And it's the same thing with the photography. It's such a key part of capturing what you've done, and such a key part of having you look like an expert and a professional in the industry versus, like you like to refer people to like the armchair. What do you call it? The armchair designer?
Oh, yeah, the armchair designer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which,
so there you go.
Yeah. And I think too, if you invest in product that you're going to need to style it, whether it's floral or items, you're going to need accessories and things. And you invest in the photographer, take a design pal who has a good set of eyes, just to help you through the stress, and also to just be like, you will agree on most things. I think we certainly did.
Most of the time,
we're like, no, that looks too staged. Yeah, no, let's take that
and
pillow
I think
out of
that
there.
There's a lot of firms that have like people on their staff that's kind of what they do, and this is kind of more their responsibility. Maybe they're in the marketing department, and they team up with a designer, or vice versa, whatever within the firm. But
that would be, I'd be scared to just have some newbie just that I don't know their style sense help me with a photo shoot. That would scare me.
No, they'd be within your firm. You would know them.
Oh.
You would know them. They'd be within your own firm. So like if the firm has got 30 people or 15 people or whatever, there's people that are kind of designated to be the ones to work on that. But then they grab the designer, obviously, that did the work, or the architect, or the landscape designer, whoever it is. And they, team up with them to make sure that they get what they need. It's just, it's definitely an investment of time, exploration.
Okay, how much money?
Trial and error.
How much does it cost, Dix? Just lay it out there for people.
Well, so if you are just getting scouting shots, we should go back to kind of a scouting shot situation. Even your scouting shots that you send to publications should be of really good quality. Sending scouting shots that are just off of your phone can work for some publications, but for most, they like to see a little bit better quality. If you're doing that, that might be like, for instance, someone that just does like mostly real estate photography, or someone that's kind of starting new, or what have you. And that could range anywhere depending on what you're doing, from $350 to, $1,200. But if you're getting a really good photographer and you're going to spend the day with them, and you're going to get multiple shots, and you are going to be working with them for the majority of the day, It usually is about $2,500 to $3,500. And then what you have to think about on top of that, and every photographer, just as we are consultants and we're creatives, they have their own way of doing things. Some will bring a lot of equipment and others won't. And sometimes you just have to work with the photographers and figure out, you may have a shoot that you're not as proud of the photography as another. That happens just like with the stone fabricator or a painter or anybody else. I mean, this just happens. So you have to kind of know that. But the investment should be there. And but
you have to also add in your time.
Exactly.
You have to add in the accessories, the floral. So it's a $5,000 commitment, honestly.
It's a $5,000 usually commitment. By the time that you end up bringing in fresh floral, taking a day or 2 days out of your work week because you calculate your hourly or whatever it is, it's definitely an investment. But what I always think about is when I start a project and I'm having the conversation with a client and I'm saying, this would be a lovely, like before and after photography, session, or this would be really great to photograph afterwards. And I kind of get the feel with them that they're willing to do that or not. I start to immediately budget for it. And so I don't really have a marketing budget for the year because our projects fluctuate. They're up and they're down and da-da-da-da-da. And so I don't really do it that way. And a lot of the business people that we listen to on their podcast would say, that's naughty. So hey, I just confessed. I just had a confession right there.
I don't think that counts.
But what I would say is that when I do get a job and I know it has potential, I start right then thinking about that and thinking about that budget.
And one of the things that you were instructive on with me, not that I am submitting anything because I never have, but I didn't realize, because you are super careful about posting anything.
I'm terrible.
Well, right. You're terrible about posting on Instagram, but it serves you well because you can't post if you want to be published.
Yeah. So this is something a lot of young designers don't know.
Yeah.
That's
so
if
you pull back and photograph the kitchen because you want to show it in your story or post it on, I suppose the story is a little safer, but if you post it on your Instagram or Facebook, that's considered published. You're the one who told me that. So if you're going to post, which I think is good for young designers to show, I do too. I absolutely do.
I'm so bad about it.
You're terrible, but you don't need to be good because you have enough work. But those of you who are wanting, I love that you're posting, the framing stage of a project, or, we just installed this beautiful Lacanche oven, but you don't show it with the black backsplash or a fully completed project. Or you're just pulling close and
you're showing just these elements that are a part
of your
of
taste, elements of the job, elements that show your credible force in the design world is cool. But you've made the point and you have to tell the architect too, like especially when you're getting to the finish line.
The builder, the architect, because
we need to do this together.
Exactly. They also have a lot of people that, again, like I was saying before, that might be in charge of marketing within their firm because their firm's larger than just a one-man show like we are now.
Yeah, and they'll push for it.
And they will push for content. And you have to say, we're going to submit this to these 3 publications, or this particular publication is interested. Please do not post anything because it will be considered published.
And if they're interested, they sometimes will split the cost.
Sometimes they will split.
And builders will too.
Well, the team splits the cost. Yeah. The team will split the cost.
Which is great.
For sure.
So don't forget that.
So it's one of those things that, I would also look at it from a different perspective, Annie. Like if you have a lovely home and you're working with a designer or whatever the circumstances are, just thinking about, talking maybe that through with your designer on the front end. I'm totally open to having this photographed, or I would prefer this not be photographed. And having that conversation is really important so that everybody knows what to do. Because I've also had circumstances, and I think this is another reason why I'm gun shy, is that I've had a couple of times where I've posted and someone will say to me, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to post that."
Yeah.
And they're not mad. And they're not.
They just don't like the element of surprise.
They don't like it. So having that conversation is very important.
It's just a level of politeness almost. It's not as though you're exposing them to anything really.
Exactly.
But I get that.
And so I don't know, do you have on your contract when you're working with clients, do you have on your contract anything about photography? Probably not, since you don't want to do it most of the time. I'm going to kick you in the tail and make you do it. I'm going to make you do it, and then I'll be the design pal that goes with you.
You'll be the design pal. Okay, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
But do you have anything that says that?
I do not, but I certainly can insert it easily, and I've read many contracts with it, and it's just very smooth thing to put in there. And I think everyone's then aware, and then when you go over the contract, you can just say, we can do this however you like, but I will be taking some photographs, and we should discuss how you're most comfortable with it.
Right. I've had a couple of non-disclosure client agreements that, they are like, you're not to say our name. We are going to name our project something completely different than our last name, blah, 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 blah. Just really under the radar.
You've seen that in a lot of magazines, too, where they will allow them to be published, but they don't want their name or anything they do, their job or anything.
It's very
Okay, can I shoot off on another tangent that's sort of related?
Can I? Is it photography, marketing?
It's branding. I would
branding.
Say
okay, we talked about that. That's not off topic.
Well, right, but this is a little bit. I might get some pushback on this.
Okay. Controversial.
Yeah, controversial. So I have a problem with people. With design, I'm talking about the design world, but it really expands beyond that. If we're all very comfortable, except for you, sharing a lot of our lives on Instagram, even though they are what we consider our business sites, or
tool.
Facebook.
I look at it as a business tool. I'm not, because I'm too private.
Right, but those of us who share more of our lives, right, it's still a business tool. And so what I see that I really object to is using that tool for something it isn't meant to be involved in, like politics. And I
know exactly where you're going with this. You may have some pushbacks.
I might, because I understand that people feel like this is the time to be activists and really, state your opinion, and it's too important and blah, blah, blah. I really dispute that. If you want to do that, do it on a private IG, a private Facebook that's not your business one. I don't mean private that it's not public. I just mean it's private about
it's personal versus business. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have made it a point. I do not unfollow anyone for political reasons. But I am bombarded on people's that I consider their work websites because I want to see their work.
Of course,
and yes, I want to see their babies once in a while, and I want to see their doggies once in a while. But I find it a little patronizing to think you're going to stand on your soapbox and preach politics when we're in a creative business. And I would say that honestly about any business, not just creative. But it hits you a little harder when you go there to look at pretty visuals and you're seeing a graph or you're seeing
something that's not as relevant.
Yeah.
I know there'll be some pushback about that. They'll be like, this is so relevant to our life and what we're doing. But I think it just goes back again to personal versus business. And I've always, this is part of the reason I don't post like I should.
Extremely careful.
I'm
so you're
very
not going to argue
business
with me.
oriented about it. No, I'm not going to argue with you a bit. Are you kidding? And you know what? There have been a lot of people that have pushed back on me and said, you have a platform.
I've heard that too.
I'm like, you know what? It reminds me of you know what it reminds me of, and this made me just love him even more. There was a point in time in Michael Jordan's career, because you know how I watch a documentary.
Yep.
I've just watched the documentaries and stuff on Michael Jordan, and there was a point in time where he was asked to also take a stand because he had a platform and everybody followed him. And you know what his reply was? I'm a basketball player. This is what I do. I'm a basketball player.
Yeah.
And I am not going to do that. And so when I get that pushback, I'm like, I'm a designer. I'm not going to do that, you know, because I just, that's just the way I roll.
I don't think that any good business person does that. I think anyone who's really wise and careful and strategic about their business wouldn't. I have no problem, as I say, with personal people saying what they need to say. Go for it. Go for it. But when it really is what you do,
good point,
and it's your work, don't involve politics because it's a little bit arrogant.
Yeah, because you're assuming.
You're assuming that you can
your
change
audience.
And you're assuming that you can change minds.
That's
and
right.
I think that's arrogant.
Yeah.
You're not, please. You're not going to change anybody's mind on Instagram.
That's right.
Okay, sorry. I'm done.
You went down a path. That's so great. You're just full of confessions and surprises, but I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay,
but on that note, Instagram is a lovely tool, as is Facebook and YouTube and any of these other platforms. Such a great tool that we have now that we didn't have so many years ago. And I think that just kind of wrapping back up the whole photography thing, back when we started out, I didn't have any other way. I had no other way to try to get myself out there. And here I did, I've come from out of state. I'm from the South. I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest. How the heck am I going to be able to connect with new clientele? And so that's why I just started observing what other people did. And that's how I ended up, taking on photography as a part of my marketing.
Well, good on you. I'm so impressed. You know I am.
It's all good. Hey.
What?
We got to tell the audience we have a gig.
We have a gig. We do have a gig.
It's kind of our first official gig because all the other gigs that we've done, we've initiated.
That's true. That's true.
But we've been asked to do the last call, which is the very tail end live stream of the Seattle Design Center's virtual Market Week.
Yeah, and we're super excited to be able to talk about our best resource, which is the Design Center here locally. But I also think it's a really fun way to celebrate design and learn. Anybody, because it is virtual, anyone can sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of dang cool.
Well, the Design Center is, going to have this virtual market, and we have followers all over the world. So back to what you were saying, Annie, about, if somebody is in, I don't know, Australia or, England.
Could look at the website and see if they want to register and sign up for anything.
Yeah, there's like classes and there's talks and there's a keynote speaker and there's all sorts of things that they're going to offer for that week. And it is actually the week it's the week of the 28th. And so I don't think that's the beginning of the week, but we'll get you a little bit more information on that.
I think it starts the 26th and ends the 29th. And
we're the 29th.
We're the end note.
We are the
I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we'll have a cocktail.
Oh, it's so good. And for those of you that are Pacific Northwest designers, they are doing a giveaway where you would have to come to the Design Center to pick up your prize, but so worth it.
And we'll be drawing those names. Yeah. And we might have a prize.
Ooh.
Right? Or am I misspeaking?
No, I think we're going to have something.
I think we have to have something.
We have to have a little something that's Design Salvation love.
I think so.
Don't you think?
I do.
But we're definitely looking forward to it. And we feel very honored that we were asked and approached to do it. And we're just going to make the most fun out of it. And we're going to all learn something good that's coming out in the design industry. So
I can't wait.
It's all good. Anyways, we will be talking to you next week. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Hey, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at designsalvation.com, where we'll have the past podcasts listed as well as show notes. Hope to see you there.
We have an interruption. I'm not even sure what that's going to be. That's going to take forever. Oh my gosh. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to stop for 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
Okay. You stay on. I'm going to keep the recording going.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh my God.
Is Jay back today? No. Naughty doggies.
Somebody delivering something.
Oh.
Hey, stop.
Listen, she's such a dictator.
Hey. Okay. So, we'll pick up here too. Willie. Okay.